Even though Jim White has been running the big numbers and getting all the publicity, there's 3 members of John Force's crew who have not lost their confidence at all. His 3 daughters, Ashley, Brittany, and Courtney, 8, 5, and 3.
I never felt like there was anyone really against us. I mean, obviously you have people that say negative things or people that are doubting you, but I felt like in NHRA drag racing, we have more support than anything at all.
But on the other side of that, when we came into the sport, it wasn't just like, who's this girl? It was like,
yeah, we grew up out
John's daughters, and we've been around the sport for such a long time that I think none of them were really surprised that we all got into it. We grew up watching a lot of them, so it's kind of cool to look back at the history and go, I was probably at that race, I was probably at that race. I remember when she raced. I mean, as a kid, we only knew to cheer Dad on, but when there was a female up there, you couldn't help but want them to win.
And it's neat when you look at the list, they didn't just, you know, win here or there. Like, a lot of these gals, they were on a roll during the years that they were competing.
We're joined in the media center by #1 qualifier in funny car, current #1 qualifier in funny car, Robert Height, 3.942 seconds at 322.19 miles per hour. He had 1 #1 qualifying position last year and 47 in his career. Robert, we kind of talked a little bit about on Wednesday, but how important is it to come out here first pass and get a good number going into the weekend?
That's really the way every weekend plays out. You know, if you don't get down the track the first run, you're just behind the 8 ball all weekend long. And you know, it's kind of funny. My crew chief Mike Neff, he usually plays it pretty smart the first run and just makes a baseline run, then tries to get after it in the evening when it cools off. But you know, I think the whole funny car ball game has changed in the last year. You know, you've got to be aggressive. If you look at last year, this 94 I just ran would have been a national record at this racetrack. And we did it on a pretty hot racetrack the first session. So funny car racing has changed. And, you know, as drivers, tuners, teams, we've got to adapt to that. And we've got to be more aggressive. You saw what it took to win the championship at the end of the year. Those guys were running 80s. And, you know, everybody at JFR, we didn't like that. You know, we went into the last 2 races of the season, not in it with even a chance to win the championship. And that's uncharted territory. So, motivated us. We've worked hard. Had a great test session out in Phoenix a week ago, and came right in here and obviously showed it's not a fluke with Courtney and I #1 and #2.
I guess testing in your case was it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish, right?
Yeah, exactly. We went to testing with a real good game plan, and Mike Neff really looked at where we were getting beat last year, and it was early in the run, first 100 feet. And so went in there and we started really knocking 60-foot times off really good, but at 100 feet it would smoke the tires. But he didn't change his game plan. He stayed on course and figured out how to get through that area at a second into the run, and without sacrificing the 60-foot time. And we just put it all together and we started running 80s, and once it went, it was easy. And he was pretty pumped. He says, what we learned here is really going to help us at Pomona. Pomona's a tricky track, can be early, and what we learned is going to pay dividends. So to come out here and run 94 the first run, I'm pretty impressed with these guys, my whole team, and you know, not a better place to do it than right in front of your sponsor, the Auto Club.
You have pretty good mojo at this track, so did you think that even if you weren't getting it at Phoenix, you said it's going to be all right when we get to Pomona?
We knew that we could always go back to what we did in the fall. We didn't run terrible, but we weren't where we needed to be. We weren't competitive with the Beckmans and Worshams. We just weren't there. So got to be aggressive, and I'm proud of his game plan so far. And he was trying to get after it right there. He was really, you know, the track.
Does Courtney win for the 3rd time this year, or does Robert finally score in 2018? score in 2018. It's Courtney Force, all the way from #1 for the 3rd time this season. It's Courtney Force, all the way from #1 for the 3rd time this season. The last time a driver scored from #1 3 times in a season, it was Courtney Force. It was 2014.
Courtney Force just got the thumbs up from her father, and Courtney, no wins in 2017, 3 wins already this season. Describe the difference of emotion from a drought to just dominating the season.
You know, it's hard to say that it was even a drought. You know, we had a lot of #1 qualifiers. We had a really consistent car. Ronnie Thompson and Dan Hood gave me that consistent car all last season. But, you know, Brian Karate came on board this year with our Advanced Auto Parts Chevy Camaro team. And to have an all-fours final, you know, they've gotten the job done. They've shown it. We're still in the points lead. We got another win this season, number 1 qualifier hat. It is just unbelievable. I told them, my guys that on the radio down at the top end, I said, you guys are just insane. I love this team. I love driving this race car for Advance, for Chevy, for Peak, for Monster Energy, Auto Club. I mean, it was great facing Robert Height. He's a tough one, but we were able to get the win, and this one feels pretty good. It's my nephew Noah's birthday, so this one's for you. Every weekend coming out to the racetrack, obviously, I'm driving out to the track with my sister Brittany. You know, we come into our pit areas, get our fire suit and all of our race gear organized, head out to the rope, sign autographs for the fans, head over to our hospitality, our Advanced Auto Parts Hospitality, Peak and Monster, and say hi and greet the customers that are over there and actually get ready to warm our race cars up. Talk with my crew chiefs to kind of figure out what the tune-up and the setup's going to be going into our first qualifying session. When we roll up to the lanes, that's usually when I'm in the back seat with my team, and we're usually picking out a fun song to kind of play on repeat for the entire weekend. It's kind of like our good luck song. Every time I get into the seat of my race car, I'm always extremely nervous. You have the butterflies in your stomach, you're sick to your stomach, but you're nervous and you're excited and